Welcome into this week's edition of the Chanticleer Football Update alongside the interim head coach, Jamie Chadwell. My name is Joe Cashin. Time now to take a look back at last Saturday's action, Coastal versus Western Illinois. And, Coach, the Eagles had a hit song one time called One of These Nights. Unfortunately for the Chanticleers on Saturday night, it was one of those nights. Things just kind of spun out of control. It started off pretty good for the Chanticleers, up 10-7 after the first quarter. But after that, it was all Western Illinois.
It was just one of those days of football that sometimes, unfortunately, you go through. No matter what we did, they were doing it 5 times better. And once the ball got rolling down the mountain, we couldn't stop it. And we thought we come out at halftime, you're down 21-10, and then they drive and then a turnover and it just snowballed. And if there is a positive, if there's a shining light from that, it's over. And we can move forward and be excited about getting into conference play here.
We knew going into the game that probably this team would be the best of the 3 that Coastal had seen to that point of the season. This being game number 3, I think they lived every bit up to that.
They did. I thought they were well coached. They had a very senior laden football team on both sides of the ball. Now, were they that much better than us? No. Were they better than us? Yes. I think we helped them quite a bit, but they were a good football team, really good, and I know you won't be surprised. I won't be surprised to see them in the FCS playoffs.
Sure, no doubt about that. First quarter started off well for the Chanticleers, a 3-0 lead. Evan Rabin with a 52-yard field goal, the second longest in school history and the second longest ever at Brooks Stadium. And then when they came back and scored a touchdown to take the lead 7-3, right back came the Chanticleers. Alex James, his first career touchdown.
Yeah, I thought we had some momentum there in the first half. You mentioned Evan has a heck of a kick. Then they scored, and we were able to match it, go up 10-7. Alex, I think, had a really solid game, and that was a nice run to give us a lot of momentum. So it looked like it was going to be a back-and-forth game there. And then after we scored that touchdown, it just sort of went downhill. After
that, it really just kind of spun out of control, even though at halftime I really felt like Coastal still was very much in the ballgame. It was only 21-10 at that point. Western Illinois put a couple of scoring drives on the board there in the second period. 21-10, I felt like if Coastal could get a stop coming out of the locker room and get the ball back and maybe swing back things back in our favor, I thought we were still could be very much in the ballgame.
We were. You're down 11. I mean, you can come back from that. And then they got a great drive. I think we had them on 3rd and long. They converted it, and they just went right down the field. And then they're up 28-10. We get a nice play on first down penalty. Then we get backed up. We do a little sprint out pass, bad pass, intercepted. They scored, I think, the next play. So it goes from 11 within basically 45 seconds. You're down 25 points that quick. And I think once we got down to 25, I think we were shell-shocked. We had a good drive coming off the turnover. Got the ball down inside the 30-yard line. 4th down, don't get it. We had chances to get some momentum back, and just for whatever reason, we couldn't do it. We couldn't put together enough winning plays. And then on defense, their quarterback was on fire. I think he was 18-20, and 2 of those were just throwaways. I knew we were in a long day. They tried a trick pass, and they threw it right to our guy, and it hit off his helmet for a touchdown. Sometimes it's not your day.
Well, you had that happen, and then you also had an extra point that doinked off the upright and somehow snuck in on the other side. And Lane Harris and I kind of looked at each other, and all we could do was laugh. And like I said at the top, it was just one of those nights where nothing just seemed to work for Coastal.
It wasn't, and unfortunately, again, that's me. I've got to get our guys more prepared to play and come out with more excitement and energy, and I think you'll see that coming this week. But the thing you want to do as a coach, hey, we can focus on how that game went, or we can focus on going forward opportunity-wise. And I think that's one of those games that, hey, let's just move forward. We decided not to watch the video. When we came in Sunday, we said, you know what, guys, it's over. We know you can replay the things that you did bad. You know that. There wasn't a lot of good to watch. So let's go out and get better and move forward. And we did that, and I think the kids have responded really well this week.
Were those some of the things you talked to them in the locker room after the game about putting forth that effort for 60 minutes to stay at a ball game?
Part of that, the effort for 60 minutes, and also too is no matter what the situation arises, whether it's in football, whether it's in life, when adversity strikes, you have 2 ways you can handle it. You can just let it defeat you, or you can attack it back. And you might attack it back and not win, but you're not going to go down without a fight. And that's more anything I felt like we could have handled that adversity right there in that third quarter better as a football program. And we've handled it a lot better before. And for whatever reason, we didn't do it at that time. And that wasn't what coastal football is about. And that's what I told them I was more disappointed than anything, is just adversity hit us, and it's going to hit. We got to keep fighting. We got to keep punching back. And we've gotten away from that, or we've forgotten it, whatever it may be. And I think going forward, you will see that, because the 2 weeks before UAB, we fought back.
Sure.
We fought back.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, that next week, what it was, the pregame meal wasn't right, I don't know, but something got us a little out of what we're about, and we've gotten back to that this week, and so I feel good going forward. Doesn't mean we're going to win, but I think you'll see going forward the type of effort that you're used to seeing for coastal football.
So Western Illinois wins over Coastal on Saturday night, 52-10. Coastal now 1-2 on the season. We'll come back and tell you who the Coastal MVPs were on Saturday night. We'll do it after this on the Chanticleer Football Update. Back on the Chanticleer Football Update as Coastal falls to Western Illinois on Saturday night. Time now to talk about the game MVPs. And Coach, I know it may be hard to find some of those kind of guys in a game like that, but certainly there were some guys who put forth some great effort and had some pretty good nights for the Chanticleers. Omar Black was the offensive MVP. Fitz Watley with 11 tackles on the defensive side of the ball. He had a pretty good night. And then Amir Howard once again on special teams.
Yeah, there was. When you mention when there's a game like that, there's not a lot that went well. So there's probably a lot of people not playing very well, but we did have some guys that did well in their roles. Those three guys you mentioned, Omar had a good game, just an all-around. He's a good football player for us. He's on a lot of special teams. He's obviously a start wide receiver. He blocks well. He does everything you ask him to do without complaining, and so he's the type of guy you love to have in your program. Fitz, had 11 tackles and played pretty well. Obviously, if you're having 11 tackles from that position, that means they're probably getting to you quite a bit too. So that's, you'd like to have a safety don't have as many tackles, a lot of pass breakups, but he was able to make some big plays for us to at least keep us in it, some things. And so, and he's somebody that needs to continue to play at a high level, because I think he's got a lot of ability. And then you mentioned Amir. Amir was very unselfish. Amir was on every special team. Had some guys get banged up that couldn't go in certain things, and he had to go a lot of different reps, also playing on defense. Didn't complain and played really well. So those guys were well deserving. Maybe not the team in general, but those guys played well what we asked them to do.
A couple of other guys, too, I want to talk about. James Heft making his first ever start at linebacker for the injured Shane Johnson. He had double-figure tackles in the ball game. And we talked about Alex James a little bit earlier. He had a nice touchdown run, his first ever here at Coastal. What kind of things did those two guys bring to the table?
Well, I think James, it was good for him to get out there and get some confidence. He's been practicing hard, but he's been behind a good player for a while. And I thought he did solid. There's some things that he needs to do better, but he got tons of experience with it. He played hard, and I think one thing that your teammates will tell you about him is, man, he cares about the team and the program, and he'll do anything. And so we were proud of him in the way that he played. Alex, I think, has a chance to be a really special player for us in our program as he continues to develop. The more and more he's playing, that run he had was a nice cut, and you saw a good burst from him. Yep. We need to get him more involved with some touches, and he'll get that going forward. But we really like the type of player he is, the type of person he is, and I think you will see him continue to get better and better throughout this year.
Back with some questions for the coach and a preview of Louisiana Monroe, Saturday night's opponent for the Chanticleers. We'll do it after this. Time now for questions for interim head coach Jamie Chadwell. Again, if you want to reach out and ask the coach a question here on the Chanticleer Football Update, you can do it at askthecoach@coastal.edu. And, Coach, a couple of questions in for you. The team, I got one question about the team kind of falling apart there. Well, I think we kind of touched a little bit on that, if you want to talk about that, and then talk about the quarterback situation as well going into this week.
Well, I don't know if I'd classify as falling apart. I think I think we just we had something happen to us that we're not used to, and we didn't respond to it in a positive way. We didn't keep fighting, didn't keep our composure, and keep playing. Maybe we forgot what we're playing for and who we're representing. And so, and sometimes that happens when, you're focused on other things instead of focused on what you need to do. And that showed up a little bit. That wasn't the reason we got beat by any means, but it sure didn't help us come back. And so I feel strongly that going forward, that shouldn't be an issue. That we'll continue to remember what our mission is. In quarterback situation, that's a good question. We're trying, obviously, our best to use what we have and get the most out of their talent and their ability. I've got to do as a play caller, I got to do a better job of putting us in some situations where they can be better, and also on their end, they got to do a better job when we have some plays to be made to make them. And because we need those, we're not at the point right now offensively where we can just overcome certain things, and we're not as explosive that we're going to be right now for whatever reason it may be. And it's something that we have to get better at. We've got to get more consistency at for sure. Truth be told, we just got to get somebody in there that can help us make some plays that they might screw up some things, but they have enough about them where they can just make something happen. And we're going forward. You'll see that.
Another question about the secondary on the defensive side of the ball. Do they need to get better, and in what ways are they strong right now?
Well, I think obviously if you watched last week's game, you'd think we definitely got to get better. Their quarterback picked us apart. I think part of that was scheme. We didn't mix it up enough for their guy was a very experienced guy, and I don't think we mixed it up enough and gave him some different looks to where it was easy for him. I think secondly, we do have some younger guys in the safety position, and so what happens that maybe experienced as far as juniors but have not played tons of football because they've had good players in front of them, and so it's a learning curve there. And so we got some corners that have played some football but not played tons, and so I think they're learning as they go. And when you get some good plays made, and then you get out of a fit and they give up an 80-yard touchdown and certain things like that. And the thing with young DBs, and it's really any position, but specifically DBs and quarterbacks, you make a mistake, you tend to dwell on it. And when you dwell on it, another one's coming. And I think that's what you saw the other night. We made one, and then they worry about it, and it happened again, and just couldn't get out of the cycle.
Finally, Coach, how has the week of practice been so far to get ready for ULM, and what's the injury update?
Joe, I think we've actually had probably the most enthusiasm for a game since probably UMass. I think our guys are anxious to get back out and prove that they're better than what we showed. Now, does that mean we're going to win? No. But I think you'll see a better football team play as far as with each other and the way they play, and I think they're anxious to prove that. So we feel pretty solid that you're going to see a team play Coastal football Saturday as far as just the way they play for each other. Injury-wise, Shane Johnson's still banged up. He's going to be a game-time decision. It doesn't look good, but we still have 2 really whole days for him to continue to rehab. Chris Jones will still be out, still dealing with his concussion from a couple weeks ago, and he's just not been able to pass the process. And his health's most important. Obviously,
Sure.
We'd love to have him. He's a huge key for us, and he's a big playmaker. And those are the 2 main ones. We've got a couple other guys that are nicked up. But they should play.
Just a quick snapshot of this ULM team. What are we going to see out of them? They're 1-2, and this is the Sun Belt opener for Coastal.
You know what? They're coming off a huge rival win, which and the team they beat, Louisiana Lafayette. That's like winning the Super Bowl down there. So they're coming in with great confidence, 1-0, first time to be 2-0 in the conference in a long time for them. Obviously, first home game for them. They play with a lot of passion for each other. They're a spread team. They're going to remind you of UAB on offense. And on defense, they're going to try to they don't do tons of stuff, but they're good at what they do. They play really fast. They circle the ball. They've been able to be they've given up some points. They've given up some yards, but when they've needed a stop or when they've needed a turnover, they found a way to get one. And I think that's what they do better than anything. They just, at certain times, for whatever reason, they're just able to get a stop or get a turnover to give their offense a chance to win the game. And it'll be a good game. It should be a solid matchup. I feel like we can match up with them, and as long as we'll play the way we're capable of, I like our chances going down there.
Jamie, best of luck. Let's bounce back and get a win. Get back in the win column.
Yes, sir.
All right, that's interim head coach Jamie Chadwell. Again, a reminder for fans that we will be on the air, the Chanticleer Sports Network, 6 p.m. Eastern for the 7 p.m. kickoff at Malone Stadium at University of Louisiana Monroe. Coastal versus ULM. We'll be back next week, and you can join us here for the next edition of the Chanticleer Football Update.